Now, taking decisions for a business is not a cakewalk because there are so many variables at play, so many things that can happen, and you are expected to take the best possible decision out of this. Now, I'm sure you have heard people advise you ki if you go and ask someone ki should I do CA or should I do ACCA? So people say दोनों कर सकते हो. If you do CA, there are two things that can happen. Either you will pass or you will fail. The percentage of passing is 15%, the percentage of failure is 85%. तुम फेल हो गए तो क्या होगा, रीअटेम्प्ट करना पड़ेगा. सो देर आर आउटकम्स पॉसिबल. सो दिस इज वेयर यू स्टार्ट विथ. ठीक है, प्लीज बेयर विथ माई ड्राइंग. बहुत अच्छा ड्राइंग नहीं आता मुझे. दिस इज माई स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट. समबडी से सीए करो. ठीक है, सीए करो एक ऑप्शन है, एसीसीए करो दूसरा ऑप्शन है. इफ यू डू सीए, दो चीजें हो सकती है. आइदर यू विल पास और यू विल फेल. नाउ द चांसेस ऑफ पासिंग कितना है? चांसेस ऑफ पासिंग 15% है. चांसेस ऑफ फेलियर 85% है. ठीक है. इफ यू पास, देन ऑल राइट, यू विल गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेप विच इज योर सीए इंटर एग्जाम्स. करेक्ट. Or so you will go to the next step which is writing your CA inter. फिर दो चीजें हो सकती है, you can pass or you can fail. If you fail, there is a possibility that you will reattempt the exam. ठीक है, you will reattempt or you will drop out of the course. reattempt किया तो अच्छा है, drop out of the course कर लिया तो then you are not a part of the further decisions. ACCA में भी सेम हो सकता है, you can pass और यू कैन फेल. यहाँ पे पास होने का चांस भाई थोड़ा ज्यादा है. 60% चांस है पास होने का. फेल होने का चांस 40% है. पास हो गए तो अच्छा है, गो टू द नेक्स्ट पेपर. नहीं हुए तो अगेन गो बैक, आइदर राइट द सेम पेपर अगेन. सो or you write or you drop out of ACCA. So if somebody were to say कि अरे ये सब टाइम पास मत करो, tell me one thing, how much will I earn or how much will be the net sp- how much will I be spending on each of the courses? So I cannot give you a straightforward answer. It will depend upon how many attempts do you clear, how many attempts do you fail, ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स, री एग्जामिनेशन फीस, ये ऐसा सारा कुछ आपको कंसिडर करके यू विल बी एबल टू अराइव एट वन आंसर. ठीक है. दिस अप्रोच is known as the decision tree approach. Decision trees should be used where a problem involves a series of decisions being made and several outcomes arise during the decision making process. Decision trees force the decision maker to consider the logical sequence of events, and problem is broken down into smaller things कि पास होंगे तो व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, फेल होंगे तो व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, एंड हाउ विल बिजनेसेस यूज इट. कि भाई जो फेल हुए उनसे और कितना रेवेन्यू कमा सकते हैं, कैन आई पुश देम फॉर अ रिविजन बैच. दिस इज हाउ बिजनेसेस थिंक. यू विल बी सरप्राइज्ड एज आई वाज सरप्राइज्ड दैट देयर आर पीपल आउट देयर. कैसा सोचते हैं लोग कि अरे लेट्स ऑल्सो स्टार्ट सीए. सीए कोचिंग शुरू करते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग तो फेल हो जाएंगे, देन वील पुश देम फॉर एसीसीए. So this is also how people try to make business out of somebody else's uh, failure or somebody else's problem. But that is how the business world is functioning. क्या करेंगे? You will see examiner decision tree. They will never ask you to draw. They will only ask you to read and interpret the decision tree. Drawing the decision tree is not going to be tested in your exam. Evaluate so when you make the tree, you make it from left to right. But when you read the tree, you read it from right to left. And you will have to calculate the expected value at each point, and then you can recommend a course of action to the management. अब ये करने के लिए we'll have to make a decision tree. ठीक है. अब let's understand how the decision tree is made. See, again I am repeating, making the decision tree is not a part of your PM paper. but अगर decision tree पढ़ना है, if you want to read the decision tree, you should know how the decision tree is made. So एक question I am going to make the decision tree for you so that you know how to read information. ठीक है. Pay attention. It will take around 15 minutes to solve this. Exam mein, this is a 2 mark question. Okay. Because you're not making, you are only reading. Let's have a look. A university is trying to decide whether or not to advertise a new postgraduate degree program. Advertisement करे या ना करे. The number of students starting the program is dependent on economic conditions. If conditions are poor, it is expected that the program will attract 40 students without advertising. If the conditions are poor, conditions matlab economic conditions, if they are bad, you can attract 40 people without advertising. There is a 60% chance that economic conditions will be poor. If conditions are good, it is expected that the program will attract only 20 students. Weird, na? It will attract only 20 students without advertising. There is a 40% chance that the economic conditions will be good. If the program is advertised and economic conditions are poor, there is a 65% chance that advertising will stimulate further demand and student number will increase to 50. If economic conditions are good, there is a 25% chance the advertising will stimulate further demand and number will increase to 25. The profit expected before deducting the cost of advertising of 15,000 at different levels of student numbers are as follows. They have given you this data. अब ऐसे तो क्वेश्चन पढ़ के इट्स सो इजी टू गेट ओवरवेल्म कि अरे ये मुझे आएगा नहीं आएगा, यू कैन हैव ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ थॉट्स. बट आई वुड रेकमेंड यू टू बी अ लिटिल पेशेंट एंड गो स्टेप बाय स्टेप. एक एक लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द लेट्स स्टार्ट विद आवर बेसिक स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट कि what is going to happen in this situation, and then let's understand step by step कि कहाँ से अपना offshoot निकलने वाला है. ठीक है. Now look at this part. This part is without advertising, and what is the decision you have to make? The decision that you have to make is should I advertise or should I not advertise. तो ये जो part है ना आपका question का, these lines, this is what happens विदाउट एडवर्टाइजिंग. एडवर्टाइजिंग नहीं करेंगे तो क्या होगा. ठीक है. दिस इज दैट पार्ट. मे बी आई कैन पुट इट इन अ डिफरेंट कलर. मुझे एक्सेल के शीट पे ना आई कांट इवन सी रेड. मुझे यही कलर एकदम लाउड है तो थोड़ा दिख जाता है. आई डोंट नो, आई हैव गॉन पार्शियली कलर ब्लाइंड और व्हाट. इफ द प्रोग्राम इज एडवर्टाइज, दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंस विथ एडवर्टाइजिंग. ठीक है. ये विथ एडवर्टाइजिंग का सिचुएशन है. ठीक है. लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड एंड डाइव इनटू दिस फर्दर. ठीक है. Now, let's understand what do the if economic conditions are poor. ठीक है. If economic conditions are poor and if economic conditions are good, these are possible scenarios that can happen, but you cannot decide on the scenario, right? You cannot control economic condition कैसे होगा. What you can control is whether to advertise or not. That is the decision that you have to take. ठीक है. So if I were to decide my starting point somewhere here, ठीक है, I have to decide my starting point here. Starting point. I have to take a decision. But what exactly is my decision about? My decision is not about economic condition. I can't control that. My decision is whether I should advertise or I should not advertise. So now I'm going to make ऐसा छोटा छोटा circles here, which will basically be my decision making tool. ठीक है. So just so these circles will basically help me to uh, कम टू अ कंक्लूजन वाला पॉइंट. ठीक है. कि हर स्टेज पे क्या होगा. आई एम गोइंग टू कॉल इट ए बी सी डी, ऐसा अलग अलग अल्फ लेटर्स आई एम गोइंग टू यूज टू डिस्क्राइब दैट. ठीक है. दिस इज माई पॉइंट डी. आई कुड कॉल इट ए बी सी वॉट एवर आई वॉन्ट टू कॉल इट. ठीक है. एंड दिस इज माई पॉइंट सी. Now, I am basically going on two different paths. I could call it anything, a P, Q, A, B, whatever I want to call it. मेरा डी बुलाने का मन किया तो मैंने डी बुलाया. From the starting point, I can do this. What is this route all about? This route is basically advertise. This is my advertising route. कि advertise करो and then see what happens. ठीक है. So second route for me is the don't advertise wala route. This is don't advertise. This is the decision that I have to take. And why did I choose advertise, not advertise? Because that is what is in my control. And this is also what the question says, that the university is trying to decide whether or not to advertise a new postgraduate program. वो decision है. Decision is economic condition तो भाई anyway is not in my control. तो उसका तो मैं कुछ कर नहीं सकता. ठीक है. So if I go with option one, I advertise. If I go with option two, then I don't advertise. If I advertise, economy could have two situations. Either the economic conditions will be poor or the economic conditions will be good. ठीक है. So poor economic conditions and good economic conditions, ऐसे दो ही possible outcomes है मेरे लिए. ठीक है. So this is B, दिस इज ए. मतलब मैं तो अपने हिसाब से लेटर चूज कर रहा हूं. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट इज दिस पर्टिकुलर पाथ? इफ आई एडवर्टाइज, आई कुड हैव टू पॉसिबल सिचुएशंस. आइदर द इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस आर ग्रेट और द इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस आर पुअर. दिस इज पुअर इकोनॉमिक conditions, and this is the second possible scenario कि these are, I could have another outcome ना कि भाई economic conditions are good. So let me poor, सिर्फ poor लिखता हूँ. You will be able to understand. And here I am writing good. Economic conditions are poor. Economic conditions are good. And look at the question. ठीक है. There is a 60% chance that economic conditions are poor and a 40% chance that economic conditions are good. तो poor economic conditions का probability कितना है? 60%. एंड गुड इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस का प्रोबेबिलिटी कितना है? 40%. ठीक है. सेम थिंग कैन हैपन हियर. गुड कंडीशंस एंड पुअर कंडीशंस. ठीक है. सो अगेन आई राइट आउट टू सिनेरियोज. इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस आर पुअर एंड इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस आर गुड. पहले लेट्स कंप्लीट दिस advertise wala situation. Let's complete this. Now observe, if conditions are poor, it is expected that program will attract 40 students without advertising. There is a 60% chance that the economic conditions will be poor. ठीक है. यहाँ पे without advertising वाला part है. ठीक है. So if the conditions are poor, यहाँ पे भी we'll need to have two scenarios. ठीक है. Let's call this A, B, C, D हो गया. Let's call this E. And let there be another one. Let's call this F. This is the second scenario. What is this? This is poor economic conditions, जिसका probability है good economic conditions 40%. See, उसका probability will not change. Poor economic conditions का probability is going to be 60%. Good economic conditions ka probability is going to be 40%. Now here, if conditions are poor, it is expected that the program will attract 40 students without advertising. Without advertising, economic conditions are poor, the program will attract 40 students without advertising. ठीक है, ये वाला पाथ हो गया. Then, and if the economic conditions are good, it is expected that the program will attract only 20 students without advertising. ठीक है. Guys, just one moment. Huh? And again, don't advertise वाला situation क्या है? If economic conditions are good, without advertising, you will attract 20 students. कितने आएंगे without advertising? 20 आएंगे. I have not come to any conclusion. हाँ? अभी मैं सिर्फ table, I am making the decision tree. I have not done anything with it. Now, if the program is advertised and economic conditions are poor, if the program is advertised and economic conditions are poor, there is a 65% chance that advertising will stimulate further demand and student number will increase to 50. Now, please understand what this means. ठीक है. If advertising is done when conditions are poor, 65% chance that advertising will increase the demand to 50. अगर 65% चांस है दैट द एडवर्टाइजिंग विल इंक्रीज द डिमांड टू 50, that means there is a 35% chance that even after advertising, the demand will not get increased. Do you agree? Even if 65% chance कि एडवर्टाइजिंग के वजह से डिमांड विल इंक्रीज टू 50, दैट मीन्स देयर इज अ 35% चांस कि एडवर्टाइजिंग आप करोगे भी तो भी उसके बाद योर डिमांड विल नॉट इंक्रीज टू 50. And it means it will remain the same as it was, as it would have been without advertising. So, see, what is the purpose of advertising? To increase the demand so that more and more people become aware of it. What they are saying is if the program is advertised and economic conditions are poor, there is a 65% chance कि demand increase होगा. That means there is a 35% chance कि demand increase नहीं होगा. And if demand does not increase, then that means it will be the same as the demand that you would have gotten without advertising. तो बिना एडवर्टाइजिंग के पुअर इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस में यू आर गेटिंग 40 स्टूडेंट्स. ठीक है. विदाउट एडवर्टाइजिंग अंडर पुअर इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस you were getting 40 students. ठीक है. So विदाउट एडवर्टाइजिंग अंडर पुअर इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस यू आर गेटिंग 40 स्टूडेंट्स. यहाँ पे 65% चांस है कि डिमांड 50 तक जाएगा. दैट मीन्स 35% चांस है कि डिमांड विल रिमेन एट 40. ठीक है. सो व्हेन इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस आर पुअर, इट कैन लीड टू टू सिनेरियोज, राइट? व्हाट आर द टू सिनेरियोज? इट कैन लीड टू अ फर्दर इंक्रीज, है ना? आपको एक फर्दर इंक्रीज इन डिमांड मिल सकता है. इंक्रीजेस टू 50. 65% chance. 65% chance that it increases to 50. That means there is a 35% chance that it does not increase. यहाँ पे I'm going to write down 35% chance that it does not increase, stays at 40. एडवर्टाइजिंग से 40 का 50 हो सकता है. एडवर्टाइजिंग If it fails, it does not stimulate the demand, it will stay at 40 only, 40 के आगे जाएगा ही नहीं. ठीक है. Now let's think about what if the economic conditions are good. If economic conditions are good, there is a 25% chance that the advertising will stimulate further demand and numbers will increase to 25. See, under good economic conditions, without advertising, we were getting how many students? Good economic conditions, without advertising, we were getting 20 students. We were getting 20 students. With advertising, there is a 25% chance that demand will increase to 25. That means there is a 75% chance that even after advertising, the demand will not increase to 25. It will stay at 20 only. वो बढ़ेगा ही नहीं आगे, 20 पे ही रहेगा. ठीक है. सो यहां पे अगेन देयर आर टू पॉसिबल आउटकम्स. 25% chance increases to 25. And second possible scenario, 75% chance does not increase, stays at 20. Have a look at the table. Have a look at the tree. Sorry, not the table. एक बार ट्री को देखो अच्छे से. So this is your tree right now. And we have not yet assigned any numerical values. Now, just observe here that if there are 50 students, okay, I'm extending this arrow a little. There are 50 students. If there are 50 students, how much profit do I see? I see a profit of 1,65,000. The profit expected before deducting the cost of advertising of 15,000 is given to you. So here, profit will be 1 lakh. Have I started the recording though? Huh, it's on. Chalo. Profit here is 1,65,000 minus 15,000, which makes it 1,50,000. ठीक है. ठीक है. चलो. Now look at this one. 35% chance that it does not increase and it stays at 40. ठीक है. अब what is the profit? When you have 40 students, the profit is 1,15,000. उसमें से आप advertising cost minus करेंगे 15,000. How much will you be left with? You will be left with 1 lakh. ठीक है. Now this situation, profit is for 25 students. 25 students का profit कितना है? 40,000. So let me just change the direction of this arrow थोड़ा सा. ऐसा करो. हाँ. Profit will be 40,000 minus 15,000, that is 25,000. ठीक है. 75% chance that the profit does not increase. The number of students stay at 20. 20 students में कितना है? 15,000 का profit है, कुछ भी नहीं है. Profit will be 15,000 minus 15,000 advertising का cost हटा दो, you are left with 0. Here, however, let's look at this particular situation. ठीक है, ये जो 40 स्टूडेंट्स है, व्हाट इज द प्रॉफिट? प्रॉफिट फॉर 40 स्टूडेंट्स इज 1,15,000 एंड हियर बिकॉज यू आर नॉट एडवर्टाइजिंग, आप कोई एडवर्टाइजिंग कॉस्ट माइनस नहीं करेंगे, यू विल बी लेफ्ट विथ 1,15,000 का प्रॉफिट। ठीक है, एंड द थर्ड, सॉरी द लास्ट पॉसिबल आउटकम, ठीक है, ये 20 देखो, 20 स्टूडेंट्स में प्रॉफिट कितना है? 15,000, 15,000 minus 0, this is 15,000. Now you have all possible scenarios, ठीक है, आपने अलग अलग सिनेरियो देख लिए। Now you want to calculate कि at each value what is the possible outcome, ठीक है। What is point B? Point B is when economic conditions are poor, advertising increases the, there is a 65% chance that advertising increases the number of students to 50, and there is a 35% chance that it does not increase the number of students to 50, it stays at 40। ठीक है, now let's look at point B and understand how, what is happening at point B। ठीक है, you know where my focus is, my focus is यहां पे। ठीक है, at point B there is a 65% chance that demand will increase to 50 and earn a profit of 1,50,000, or there is a 35% chance that demand will stay at 40 and profit is 1 lakh. Now, if I ask you at point B, what is the expected value of profit? Now, you know that expected value is outcome into probability of outcome। ठीक है, आउटकम है 1,50,000, उसका प्रोबेबिलिटी है 65%, सेकंड आउटकम है 1 लाख, उसका प्रोबेबिलिटी है 35%। ठीक है, सो हाउ मच इज योर एक्सपेक्टेड वैल्यू? 1,50,000 into 65% plus 1 lakh into 35%, the expected value of profit is 132,500। सो दो चीजें हो सकती हैं, राइट? प्रॉफिट कैन इंक्रीज टू 1,50,000, उसका 65% चांस है। प्रॉफिट कैन स्टे एट 1 लाख, जिसका 35% चांस है। लुक एट पॉइंट ए, पॉइंट ए, एट पॉइंट ए there is a 25% chance that demand will increase to 25 and earn a profit of 25,000, whereas there is a 75% chance that demand stays where it is at 20 and gives no profit. So now I would ask you that at point A, what is the expected value of profit? ठीक है, so expected value कितना आएगा आपका? Expected value would be 25,000 into 25% plus 0 into 75%. Expected value is 6,250। ठीक है, so we have the expected value at B and expected value at C. Now look at point D। ठीक है, अब at point D there is a 40% chance, $40 नहीं, sorry, there is a 40% chance that economic conditions will be good and you will land at point A. At point A, the expected profit is 6250. At point D, there is a 60% chance that economic conditions will be poor and economic conditions will be poor and you will land at point B. ठीक है, at point B, the expected profit is how much? 1,32,500. So now if I were to ask you expected profit at point D, you will say this is 132,500. If the economic conditions are poor, profit is expected to be 132,500. But what is the probability that economic conditions will be poor? 60%. And there is a if the economic conditions are good, the profit is expected to be 6250 and uska probability kitna hai? Uska probability is 40%. So what is the expected value? The expected value is 82,000. ठीक है, सो मैंने पॉइंट बी ए डी तीनों का आई कैलकुलेटेड द एक्सपेक्टेड वैल्यू. ठीक है, इफ आई थिंक ऑफ पॉइंट ई, मैंने बी पॉइंट ए पॉइंट डी का निकाला. ठीक है, हियर द डिसीजन इज वेरी सिंपल. इफ I don't advertise and economic conditions are poor, the profit is going to be 1,15,000. And if I don't advertise, economic conditions are good, the profit is going to be 15,000. So point C. Okay. So expected profit at point C कितना होगा? 1,15,000 into 60% plus 15,000 into 40%. So expected profit at point C 75,000. So आपने चारों कर लिया है. ठीक है, C, D, B and A, you have calculated the expected outcome at each of these points. Now what is the original question? Original question is, should I advertise or not? Original question is, should I advertise or not? ये ओरिजिनल क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है, पाथ डी एडवर्टाइज का पाथ है एंड पाथ सी ये डोंट एडवर्टाइज वाला पाथ है. इफ आई गो डाउन पाथ डी, आई एक्सपेक्ट अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ 82,000. इफ आई don't advertise, that I go down path C, I expect a profit of 75,000. Now the decision is clear that I should advertise because there's a higher profit that I can possibly get in this one. ठीक है, so what is my decision? Decision would be to advertise as it gives me higher profit. ठीक है, सो दिस इज हाउ. आपको एग्जाम में ना ये कंस्ट्रक्ट करने को नहीं आएगा. दे विल नेवर आस्क यू टू कंस्ट्रक्ट द डिसीजन ट्री, बट दे विल डेफिनेटली आस्क यू टू read the decision tree. And after you have constructed a decision tree, reading and decision making becomes easier. अगर construction नहीं आता तो then the other thing will not work, which is why I spent a good 25-30 minutes or more on constructing the decision tree and then reading. देखो आप, हमने construct ऐसे किया and then we read it from right to left. We came here, then we came here, then we came here. So make left to right, read right to left. That is how the decision tree has to be read and understood. There is one more question here that is a good question on decision trees. Now, the question is again, whether you should be hiring a particular movie and showing it in the theaters or no. ऐसा question है. So, I would ideally request you to try and make this decision tree once on your own, and then I will do it with you. तो मैं एक decision tree you saw how it is made. The second tree you try to make it on your own, and then उतने में then we will be done with understanding of decision trees, and then we can proceed to the next topic, which is basically understanding the value of perfect information.